All right, we are finally here with the finals of Riley's Retro number 13. And we have a repeat here of the Roanoke Regionals finals that was in this format, with Mike on this Gardevoir Swampert Ninetales deck up against Lone Blown playing Blowns. And this one, I think this is genuinely, I would say this is in Gardevoir's favor, just because you have the versatility of the Ninetales being able to obviously be the engine for your deck, but also with the Sublimation GX attack, which is going to be very strong, and being able to just take a KO on an Ultra Beast Pokemon, which of course is everything except for Lele in the deck for this Blacephalon player. I heard you like Blowns, so I got you some Blowns so you can Blown while you Blown.
Yeah, definitely having that free KO is always like super important.
Definitely. It only costs 2 energy as well, so it's not like a huge like extension or anything like that. Did I get Paris? What? Magnet Choo Choo Choo. Yes. And yes, this is going to be Mike Fouché here, who did actually take down one of Riley's Retro events previously, 11 or 10 or something like that, with a really cool Landorus kind of toolbox deck. So, and of course a Worlds caliber player for a number of years in paper cards as well. So no stranger to these formats, no stranger to this stage, and we're in for a good one here for sure. There's the Choice Helmet that we saw used to great effect in the top 4 match. Not a great start from either player here though, kind of awkward on both sides. Mike doing the correct thing here, using this Ultra Space to just see what's in the deck. Obviously, there aren't any Ultra Beast Pokemon to search off of that, but at least you get that information, you get that free deck search, and you can be like, okay, what do I have access to off of this Ultra Ball? Do I have, you know, the vital pieces of my evolution line or whatever I'm about to Ultra Ball for here, perhaps? Do I have a way to shuffle my Pokemon back in, maybe with like something like a Rescue Stretcher? So just looking through the deck, you have that free search option available to you, and you'd love to see that.
Yeah, definitely a heads up play, just being able to get that information before making like an actual decision, just very important, knowing exactly what is prized and, you know, what you have access to in your deck.
Should blow in my blow until I mind blown. Damn. I love all the Blown jokes in chat. But yes, definitely if you have the option to get information, like some deck building questions, really. Yeah, for sure. I can't guarantee I'll answer them after stream because it's going to be like after midnight by the time this is over, but definitely I'll take a look at them when I get a chance. But yes, this, you know, always using the information that's available to you, where prize cards are such an important part of this game. Just knowing what you don't have access to, what you do have access to is very important in being able to make sure you're getting set up for the game. Here is that Energy Lotto, and the hand for Mike is still kind of awkward. I guess we can go get the Sublimation GX set up this turn, which is great. Take those 2 prizes and take out some early aggression, and we don't really have anything on the board for the Blacephalon player. And a key thing to notice too is, of course, that the Brooklet Hill countered the Ultra Space, so now there's no free searching of another Blacephalon available. Yeah. All right, the Ultra Ball at least means we're going to get access to a Lele if we need another draw supporter. There was also a Sophocles discarded off of the Ultra Ball, so I'm assuming that they have something like a Cynthia in hand. There's the attached. There's a Cynthia, so recovering pretty well, and if we can find perhaps some B-strings here, get a little bit more set up with some Poipoles and an Ganadel right as I say that, speak them into existence, and the B-strings. So this is
as well, yeah.
Just what you wanted from Blacephalon on the response turn. Welcome back, Stellar. Just in time. There's the charging up. We had the retreat. And we have just enough energy in play to KO this Ninetales. And now the pressure's back on Mike. What do you do to follow this up? And here's the problem, is that we can't really take ourselves off the Beast Ring turn here because there's no immediate response to this Blacephalon. You've used your GX attack. You don't have a Ralts in play to even attack with Gardevoir. And your opponent has only played one Beast Ring so far, I believe. I'm not sure if they played two, but
yeah, it's just one.
You're still going to be on these Beast Ring turns, so you're very much pressured to find a follow-up attacker here to, to establish your board a little bit more. But now you're just very much on the back foot, and that was kind of the drawback of that early sublimation play.
Yeah, going for kind of the maximum amount of draws here, it looks like just try and find whatever they can find.
Well, the big thing about Swampert here is that it does actually hit for weakness on the Blacephalon. So with the Choice Belt, it will actually pick up the KO on a Blacephalon for just 3 colorless energy. Of course, that's going to have to be a DCE, Fairy Energy, some combination of those. So it won't happen this turn, but we can set up for that in the future with a 1-prizer, which is great. And we at least find a Ralt, so that's very important to find as well here. Energy on Swampert is nice as well. And now this is kind of like saying, okay, what are you going to chase down if you are the Blacephalon player? And I mean, we also haven't seen much else out of our Blacephalon player here. Like, they didn't play more Beast Rings, which obviously means they don't have them readily available. So they're also still going to need to find these things to even continue up with the pressure that they've started to establish. So need to find those Beast Rings on this turn for sure.
Yeah. The other thing to note is that super boost energy in hand. Just kind of setting that up allows you to also just take that KO with the Swampert without the DCE.
Definitely. You need to at least get the stage 2s in play, of course, to activate that. Otherwise, it is just a colorless energy. But having the option to go in with that means you could theoretically go in with 2 Swamperts, which is a great option to have. Just being able to string those attackers. It has the drawback, of course, that in doing so, once they get KO'd, you lose some of your draw support, which is a little bit awkward, but you still need to be, taking prizes aggressively here. So this is a pivotal turn. Do we find more Beast Rings? Lalados is big. That's a great start, though, to disrupt this big hand from Mike, especially after the beacon.
Yeah, and last time we did see that Marshadow get used very effectively, and it looks very similar here so far.
Yeah, this is an atrocious draw. At least we have energy to guarantee... Well, it doesn't even guarantee a KO because we used the Burst GX here. So the Vulpix is still in the active, and Ultra Ball is
that
our
Ultra Ball.
savior.
Yeah.
Starting with the power draw, get to see some additional cards. All right, so now we
as
have
well
the
as
rare
also
candy.
getting that Gardevoir with the rare candy as well.
Yeah, that's a big draw. We now even have the option to go Secret Spring to the active to retreat it into a DCE onto the Swampert to take the KO with Hydro Pump. So we have a KO here if we choose to go about it that way. Considering the Elm here could get some more Ralts into play, I believe there's still another Vulpix unaccounted for as well. Taking some time to mull over the decisions. Of course, this is a very important turn. But I think if you take this KO with the Swampert, you're putting yourself out of the Beast Ring range, which means that it's very unlikely that the Blacephalon player will be able to keep up with additional attackers. Of course, they can use the Naganadels charging up. They have things like Energy Switch to power up another Blacephalon, but you're still going to need to find all of these pieces instead of just finding a Beast Ring.
Yeah.
And the choice there to go for the Elms Lecture, I think this is a great way to just thin out the deck more, and also it gives you that Cosmog, which is now like a very discardable card off of the power draw with Swampert, or also with this Ultra Ball on the following turn. So just kind of thinning this out. Can use Naganadels attack rate. Yes, they can use the Naganadels attack as well. Turning Point will do 160 damage since they are on exactly 3 prizes. So they will have an immediate response to this Swampert as long as they have an energy to attach from hand. And I think actually, I don't know if do they have any basic fire in the discard pile, because they did put all of them into play with the charging ups previously and then lost on them, of course. I don't actually know if they have an immediate fire in the discard pile quite yet. And here's the Ultra Ball played preemptively, maybe to get the Lele just to have that in hand. A little bit confused by this play. I'm not sure if maybe we're going to get the other Ninetales, perhaps? But yes, we do at least have the response lined up right on board with this Naganadel, assuming we can at least get another energy to attach.
Yeah.
And Mike is a very methodical player. It definitely takes his time thinking over the actions, thinking over all of the possible outs. And I think it kind of speaks to identifying what is the most important piece here to keep this game going for me, and that's grabbing that Marshtomp. And oof, prizes are not helpful. But I think it's a heads-up play, because you grab the Marshtomp, you're already down 3 rare candies, and by grabbing the Marshtomp, you say, okay, it's so likely that I find an out to my Swampert on the next turn, but there are very few outs to the last rare candy. I'm not sure if it's even in deck. I think he played. I'm assuming there are 4. I would be surprised if there were 3. It is 4. Okay.
And being Melisithia here almost assuredly is going to get us the energy we need
TCGO called most patient person in the world. There's a choice helmet coming down, and this is a great. I mean, we have the response right here. Choice helmet down on the Blacephalon is nice as well. Of course, it won't actually be affected by the Swampert anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but protecting it from perhaps the Gardevoir isn't the worst thing in the world when your opponent's sitting at 2 prizes left. And the Turning Point KO. So this is scary. Of course, we can take this response KO with the Gardevoir with the Secret Spring plus attachment of the DCE if we want to go that route. I mean, that's pretty much all we have here, right? Though there's no other play but to just take this KO and hope.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just where we're at.
And you can just build up a big Gardevoir. That really felt like a turning point for Blounds. Indeed it did. I mean, you do need a lot. Actually, can we even get the KO this turn? Attached, double charging up is only 3. And there's no choice belt or anything like that. Banned. I keep doing that. I don't think there's an immediate out here. I might have to just go for a bursting burn.
Yeah.
See the double charging up. The beast energy's already down. Getting a Poipole down is big. We have the energy attachment, and I think it's just going to be a bursting burn is your only option here. Hope you can get the... Yeah, and there it is. Hope you can get this confusion to stick. But now we're in a situation where that Swampert could come into play if you're able to get a draw supporter here. Or the Swampert top deck is huge!
Yeah, that's
a Fairy Energy wins the game. The Super Boost doesn't get there. We need the Fairy Energy. Oh, and we whiffed! But that was the perfect top deck that we needed. Just unfortunate that we can't find the Fairy Energy to go with it. Actually, I think we needed the Choice Band too. Wow, I'm just going to see the Retreat and Beacon here.
What it's looking like.
Yeah, but this is big though. This is a heads up play because it's still you still need a little bit more from the Blacephalon player to even take this KO, right? Like you can't just go Guzma and win game immediately. You need to attach energy to the active. Well, there's the Guzma. They still should have it. I'm not sure how many energy are left. I think they have... If they have another energy in the discard pile that's charging up, this will be game right here. Yep, and they do have the other charging up energy in the discard pile, so Mind Blown will take the KO. Mike, I think a little bit upset that there's another... I think it was that their last Guzma. It was the last Guzma needed. Wow. And little bit of BM here. Yeah, such an unfortunate whiff for sure, but Blacephalon taking the game with Mind Blown for 300 damage. Moving on to game 2. Retreating was technically the right play. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you retreat there and the last Guzma isn't in hand, you have game right there, of course, with the Lele. Trying to... it's not necessarily guaranteed, but you have the game. That's like your best line in that situation is to hope that the last Guzma isn't there. So, of course, Mike playing pretty well on that one, but sometimes just those early draws were pretty awkward. Mike not being able to get really set up, and then just whiffing that crucial turn with the Swampert that would have ended the game. So we'll see if Mike is able to come back in this one. Going first once again, and we have the Organic Elm in hand. It's a great start. He should have flipped for a stream. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you considering the content, but yes, we could have seen a flip. Could have seen the flip for it for the stream content, but wow, and 2 Ralts prized.
Yeah.
And we have the 2 Gardevoir in hand. I'm like, are there 2 Guardy prized too? But they are in hand. 1 Guardy Oko. Yeah, but you would have had to flip for it because of confusions, Easter. So you could have flipped for it, and then your opponent could have just attacked in the active. But if you flip tails, then you lose outright because your opponent doesn't need their last Guzma. So I think the correct play was made by Mike. It just comes down to your opponent just had the last Guzma, which wasn't super likely. So playing to your the odds. Only 3 Ralts on the list. That's correct as well because you have the Ditto. And actually, we attach to the active here. I guess it's not actually possible for this Lele to get. I'm so used to Zoroark decks that I'm like, DCE Energy Drive kills, but we are playing against a deck with no DCEs, so that's not going to happen here.
Yep.
Yeah, second Swampert prize could definitely be bad as well. And not the best start either from the Blacephalon player. We did have a Mysterious Treasure. I think they only play the 1 Lele. Yes, only 1 Lele, 1 Let Loose Marshadow, so I'm not sure if maybe they had some unfortunate prizes here.
This Elms Lecture isn't doing a whole lot. Their hand is mostly just like stage 2s. Thankfully they can Beacon, but still.
Yeah, Beacon is the savior here. And I think at least playing the Elms Lecture means that you get to thin out your deck of more basics you don't want to top deck anyway. So, and now the Beacon, of course, gets you a Ninetales. Grab the Ninetales. I think we can go quickly for the Swampert. Makes the most sense, I guess, is your next choice. I don't really think there's anything else you'd want. I guess you could actually go for double Ninetales if you really wanted to, but...
And the Swampert makes sense too. Is perfectly fine.
Right, you're going to get a bunch of rare candies off this Ninetales and get some power draw going. Blacephalon, yes. I think it's more likely them having Last Guzma or flipping tails. I mean, flipping tails is a 50-50, whereas Last Guzma is significantly lower than that, so I think, mathematically speaking, I think it, please don't.
Getting that Naganadel in hand right before the Cynthia is also super big.
Yeah, it means we can use this Ultra Space to find another Poipole, but not much else beyond that. So
definitely got to be a relief for Mike here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're getting your board established. It's a little bit slower, but you have the time. And this time you have multiple follow-ups ready, right? You can use this candy to get a Swampert. You can get a Guardian to play. You have the Ditto down as well, which can function as a Mudkip here if you're able to get a Marshtomp, which I think you really want to kind of line up your attackers with the Swampert. You can use the Ninetales for Sublimation and then follow up with a Swampert to close out the game. And you have Guardy to fall back on as well. Cringe humor is what I do. I can't help it. That's fair. That's fair. See the candy into the Swampert and then into the Gardevoir. Attach in the Secret Spring. And this kind of just spreads out your energy, diversifies your threats. Now you have the option to go in with a huge Gardevoir in the following turn, or you can go in with the Sublimation if you need to, and just closes it off with a Beacon. And now the pressure is really on Blacephalon to see what they can string together, because the board is pretty much where you want it to be. If you're Mike, you have lots of energy in play. Most of your attacking lines are established or soon will be. You've just used another beacon, so now your hand is just stacked with your ideal Pokemon for the following turn. And we're still at 6 prizes each, so no Beast Ring readily available. But here's a Kuzma going after this Ninetales. Taking out the Sublimation option early is great here.
Yeah.
And this could force this Guardy into the active. I'm not sure how many choice bands are in the list. I think it's just the 2.
Well, it has
probably.
the choice band attached already.
I'm looking at the Swampert as a potential attacker here. We could get the Super Boost maybe, if we are able to get another stage 2 established. So potentially going for that line. And there is 1 choice band left in the deck. We could also just get another Ninetales here if we find a Fairy Energy, and there is the Energy Lotto to potentially dig for that. So we have choices. We have a response in theory. It just depends on what Mike thinks is going to be the most likely and the best way to do that. And you can search for a lot of these pieces with the Ninetales, so this kind of gives you the best approach to it. You have the choice band, you have the Energy Lotto, and now you also have Power Draw as well, so you can Power Draw, see 3 cards, and then play the Energy Lotto.
Yep.
And Super Boost becomes an out if you're able to establish another stage 2, if you're able to get a rare candy to get another Gardevoir into play. And there's the Fairy. So that will cover that. I think if we get the option to use the Super Boost, I wonder if we choose to do that. Looks like Mike's just going to take the little more conservative route of using the Fairy, DCE, and Choice Band. Standard's killing me, chat. Fairy is KO. Yeah, definitely. Power on my draw till I deck myself out. No, I know we can't use the Super Boost yet, but if we were able to dig for the rare candy, that's what I was referencing. But using the guaranteed KO here, and this is the funny thing about Swampert is that of course it has this wonderful power draw ability. Yeah, you can. No, you can use it. Just won't do the won't do the thing. Actually, you could have attached it. Yeah, no, you definitely could. But what's up, Raptor? No, actually needed to be Fairy because you needed a Secret Spring.
You did,
to get the extra, yeah. The Curlia off the prizes is pretty good too. Means that we're less like
see how Blacephalon follows this up.
Well, this is always the pivotal turn, right? We've just hit the Beast Ring turns, so this is where the Blacephalon player needs to just start getting a ton of energy into play. Use those charging ups, use the attached return and Beast Ring. Just get so many energy in play. Game 2, yes, this is game 2 in the finals. If you look at the... Hold on, it's the other way. There, yep, I have on screen. Yeah, I tried to make that easier for people, but people don't read, so...
Yeah, hitting the Beast Ring here is really huge as well.
Yeah, we found the Beast Rings, and this is the whole threat of this Blacephalon deck, right? Is that you can take these KOs, and then these odd prizes don't end up actually mattering because of your GX attack. So you can go, Mind Blown, take the KO on the Swampert here. You go down to 3 prizes, then you have Turning Point to take 2 prizes if you're able to. I guess the 160 never really takes a KO, so you probably won't get to take 2 prizes with that. But you still have the Burst GX to fall back on to take a prize whenever you feel like it. Of course, whenever you're able to. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this one plays out. I think Mike is still very much in the driver's seat here. But definitely a pretty back and forth situation, and I think we're just deciding where these energies are coming from and are getting lost zoned. Yeah, I'm blind. It's all good, Raptor. Now you know for future. There's the KO. Unfortunate that we did have to hit 200 instead of 150 since the Swampert does have 160 HP.
Yeah, that 10 HP difference making a huge difference here.
Yeah, that one extra energy would have been nice to have in play for Blacephalon. And we're going to need a little bit more from Guardy to get the KO here. We are only hitting 120 currently. The DCE off the Energy Lotto will definitely help that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gets the KO exactly. There is no Choice Helmet. Actually, Choice Helmet would have been huge here. But we do find the DCE to take that KO. And the pressure once again will shift back to Blacephalon. How did they respond to this? And having this Gardevoir in the active, there aren't really any good prizes to chase down with Turning Point this turn. You can set up to two-shot this Guardy, I guess, and hope that you dodge a Guzma. Of course, we do see the Lele already waiting in Mike's hand, so this one feels very much like Mike's game to lose from this current board position. And the Swampert off the prize is big.
The prize, yeah.
That's huge, yeah. There we go. Grab Swampert, yes. Now, I don't know if we haven't seen the Let Loose yet from Blacephalon, so that could be big here to disrupt this hand. Mysterious Treasure might get there. Love the little fairy effect of the attack. Yeah, it's pretty, right? And yes, Blounce plays 2 energy switch.
Getting the Poiple here kind of just signals that our Marshadow's prize to me.
Same, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely would have grabbed it there. I think just knowing that Mike has so many cards in hand, you want to disrupt that if you can. Here's the attach, the charging up. Choice Helmet.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Turning Point is not gonna do enough.
Right, and this is a situation where even if you were to dodge a Guzma, which we know is just in Mike's hand with this Lele, and just top decks it too.
Oh, and they top deck the Guzma anyways, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and actually, we can take out the Lele. We can attach the Super Booster to retreat and then gust the Lele here. So this will be game over. Funny using the Super Boost to retreat. I'm not sure. Maybe Mike thought, oh, actually, we can use the Swampert's attack. Wow, with the Super Boost energy, we can style a little bit with the Hydro Pump, I think. Would that have picked up the KO? Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, the Infinite Force for sure gets the KO. And we're going to go to a game 3. All right, the penultimate game in Riley's Retro 13. Once again, the Sun and Moon to Lost Thunder. Don't make bonking noises. I'm sorry. Get this game 3 here. After Mike was able to take down that last one. And Blacephalon's going to get to go first, which is big. I think, again, we identified that Marshadow must have been prized. So for them, hoping that it's not either the starting Pokemon or in the prizes again in this one. Mike's hand looks pretty solid in this one, though. At least we have the Ultra Balls to go find a Lele, grab that Elm's Lecture, and we can set up the board. Have a Mudkip to get down as well. So things looking pretty decent for Mike. And you even have the Cynthia to follow up on a turn 2. So, too tempting. Hey, feel free to bonk all you want, Easter. Alright, we got the Ultra Ball. I always get nervous when you see like a Pokemon come down first or something and they don't play cards really quickly. And I'm like, do we have a dead hand? Seen this Gardevoir before with the Terrorist Clown. Oh my god.
Ooh, and this Marshadow before.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's a little bit greedy to just say I'm going to go for the turn 1 win, but, well, we find the Ultra Ball, so the rest of the hand isn't great. Like, the Ultra Ball bails you out to at least a Cynthia, And this is what
Mm-hmm.
I was alluding to in the previous rounds, where the turn one let loose, while it doesn't outright win you the game from this position, it does at least set Mike back, right? We no longer have the hand that supports going for Elm's Lecture into Cynthia. We now just have to rely on this Ultra Ball potentially only getting us Cynthia and seeing from there.
Yeah,
So Brooklet Hill is nice. It means we can get an additional bench Pokemon, either this Vulpix or a Mudkip. And we can search the
I like
deck.
getting the I like getting the Vulpix here.
Ooh, and one of the Lele's is prize, so that's really relevant to know. So what we could do for Mike here is you can go Ultra Ball for the Elm, the Lele, excuse me, then get the Elm, retreat into the Vulpix and use Beacon after that, and then Beacon for, I mean, you'd have to get two Vulpix down so that you can have it a guaranteed out to the Ninetales, but I think we'll probably see just going for the Cynthia here, just trying to guarantee more cards. Probably the safer route. I think you could play a little bit on the edge by maybe getting the Elm's Lecture. And there is the Cynthia. Oof.
Not a bad draw from the Cynthia, but not the best.
Well, the problem now is that the other Lele is prized, so there's no immediate...
Oh,
Yeah. Should have benched Mudkip, silly Mike. Yeah, this is unfortunate. We're kind of all in on this Beacon now because you can't get another Lele. And the Marshadow's already been used from Blacephalon, so there is no hand disruption that's going to be coming. So it's going to be down to the top deck for Mike. I guess we can get a Rare Candy Guardy, but we can't really set up a Rare
Not
Candy
super sure how I
Swampert.
feel about getting the Ninetales here. I feel like this Vulpix is just gonna get KO'd, and unless the Blacephalon player values the Ralts more, but I don't know that they are going to.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting play because you could, like, this is a nod to saying, like, okay, well, if you Guzma KO my Ralts, I have the Ninetales still. And I think, yeah, we see the choice to get the Mudkip Ditto instead. We have the Ultra Ball as an option to get into that. Yeah, it's just all kind of bad. I should have benched Mudkip, Bacon, Vulpix. Yeah, you need Ninetales for sure, though. So would you have sacrificed the Ralts then? I mean, I think that's actually pretty valid. You could have just left the Ralts in the active, and you had the Ultra Ball to go find the Ninetales on the next turn. So I think protecting the Vulpix there might have been the better play.
Yeah, I think that's the line that I would have taken.
Yeah, sack Ralts, yeah. If I get Mudkip and you have Brooklet Hill, I was wondering that as well. I think you could have probably grabbed something different, like an evolution Pokemon there, since you can just use the Brooklet Hill. Maybe Mike wants to get 2 Mudkips down this turn, though, could be the thinking. Like, this guarantees that you can get both of them down. So, maybe thinking that. Yeah, Mike is waiting for second Vulpix off Brooklet. That's also an option. Grab the Vulpix there off that Brooklet. But again, this hand is just so poor. And you're so far behind now. And it does come back to that turn 1 let loose. The turn 1 let loose that while it didn't outright end the game, it set Mike far back enough in tempo that Blacephalon is able to kind of steamroll this advantage. And another Beacon here, but at least this time we have the Ditto to pair with it. So now you at least have a guaranteed access to this Ninetales on the following turn. And that could get you into Swampert and also into this Gardevoir. But you really just need to stabilize. I mean, what are we looking for out of Blacephalon? I mean, like, how does Mike even come back from this position? You know, if you go down even more prizes with another KO here.
Yeah.
Mysterious Treasure finds another Naganadel. Another Mysterious Treasure, so we can really get this board very established for Blacephalon.
Lele here.
There's the Cynthia. So keep these draws coming, and this is going to be great to potentially set up for future turns. Hopefully finding those beast rings or access to them. And we attached to the bench there, so this makes me think we're just going to go for the burst GX, which puts you back down to even prizes. There is that burst. And we hit a beast ring. Would have loved to have that later in the game.
Definitely.
So Mike needs to find... We definitely need to get into a Swampert this turn to even continue playing the game. Gonna have to find a rare
So
candy.
we get rare.
Yeah.
Does it say rare candy Swampert?
I think you have to go for the timer ball, maybe. I suppose we could actually go rare candy into Guardy and then sublimation GX this turn, but you need some more pieces to pull that off. You can't quite get there immediately. I guess you could go for second Ninetales here with this Ultra Ball, though, and go get the Swampert. Is it not? Do we not have a second Ninetales in the deck, perhaps?
I don't think I saw the second one, but I could be wrong.
So we go power draw away a Guardy here. You can evolve that Ditto into the Marshtomp eventually. Oh, there was a second Ninetales.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, he's definitely in it now if he can find energy, though. And whiffing the energy here was the biggest problem. You no longer have a way to... Yeah, and Mike's just saying, you know what? I can't get a KO here. I think that's just... I'm too far behind. Wow, and Mike just concedes. Yeah, whipping the sublimation, and that's just going to be game. And Blacephalon GX is your winner.